Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well and staying safe during this time. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. Like I said, thank you so much for checking me out. If you haven't done so, please make sure to hit that subscribe button just right below the video. Cool, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And if you're returning, welcome back. Thanks again for your support. I truly do appreciate having you here.
Here, we'll talk about what's happening, what is contained in here, if these are really meaningful, and what is yet to come as far as this request, because this is just the first submission, and there's still quite a bit here that we should expect to see out of this. So this article is from AMB Crypto. We'll use this as kind of our jumping off point, and then we'll jump into the press release from Empower Oversight as well as the documents themselves, and we'll get a take from John Deaton as well. So is the SEC playing on the back foot with Ripple's offensives in court? The SEC's been facing heat from different directions. The U.S. regulatory watchdogs had locked horns in an ongoing battle with Ripple Labs. Here, the defendant launched offensive attacks against the SEC, allegedly to put the latter in the back seat. An action filed by Empower Oversight whistleblowers and research last year wanted the SEC to comply with a Freedom of Information Act request. It was related to potential conflicts of interest in its cryptocurrency-related enforcement divisions. Now the agency's made headlines with the latest update. So here's the tweet from Empower Oversight. SEC releases emails to Empower Oversight in crypto conflicts lawsuit, still searching for more. So let's jump over here to the press release. This is where they talk about it. So just a quick recap. If you recall, in August of last year, we first started talking about this when they filed their request with the SEC. They didn't get the traction they wanted due to a lack of response from the SEC. They filed a lawsuit and then submitted an administrative appeal to the SEC's claims that there were no responsive records. And then that is what helped uncover the fact that there were these over 1,000 pages of documents that were actually related to the request but were not submitted or identified by the SEC. And then finally they sent a letter to the SEC and a new request for records related to how the SEC's personnel were actually conducting their searches because they believed that they were insufficient. So I'll link the press release down here below in the video description so you can check that out further. But basically, it's just talking about what documents were provided. So over 1,000 pages of emails. These have to do with Hinman, but also with Mark Berger, who was the acting director of the Division of Enforcement. So interesting stuff, but maybe there's not quite as much information as we would hope. So let's go back over here to the article and talk through the high-level stuff. So the SEC released emails to Empower Oversight just yesterday, February the 25th, in the lawsuit, and obtained these first documents that were obtained have to do just with Hinman and Berger, not Clayton. Nothing there from him yet. So over 1,000 pages and 46 emails were involving Mark Berger, and we'll look at one example later. However, due to formatting issues, many of those pages were almost entirely blank and contained duplicate information. Nonetheless, the authority appreciated this move from the SEC. Jason Foster, Empower Oversight founder and president, stated, "This initial document production by the SEC is a step in the right direction, but it must keep its commitment to conduct additional searches to fulfill its legal obligation to transparency. Empower Oversight will not relent in its committing or commitment to enforcing accountability through the public's right to know. And here, let me just show you an example. This is what we're seeing in these documents. So I've looked through it quickly, and in this over 1,000 pages, you can see here, this is a page where there's a poorly formatted email, another page. This one single thing, this is taking up 5 or 6 pages, and it's not the only one. So there's several instances. You can see this is another poorly formatted one where it's only a single column. Also makes it very difficult to read and search through. But the poor formatting really makes this, as you can see here, go longer than necessary, and it makes it basically impossible to read something like this if you're trying to get any information out of it. So you can see that of the 1,000 pages, a good number of them are not going to be relevant information, and a lot of them are just sort of back and forth about simple things like, hey, lunch time and date. Here's days when we could meet up to do whatever face to face. So it will require some sifting through to get meaningful information out of that. And again, it just came out yesterday late, so a lot of that searching and diving through the details has yet to happen. But I will keep you up to date as we find out anything really meaningful, so make sure you hit that subscribe button so I can keep you informed of what's going on in this lawsuit with Empower Oversight and the SEC and the Freedom of Information Act request. Now, continuing here, in addition to this, at the SEC's request, the said agency provided a detailed list of people associated with the entities named in the Freedom of Information Act request. John Deaton, of course, famed lawyer in this case, acting on behalf of XRP holders, was one who commented here. So he said, the emails that we have received from the efforts of Empower Oversight are narrowly focused. What we have so far is a very small portion of the relevant documents. It's only emails between Hinman and Berger and any address with a Simpson-Thatcher email. And then Jason Foster responded on that saying, correct, because the SEC's limited its initial searches to only emails to and from stblaw.com, even though our request was not at all so narrow. So that's Simpson-Thatcher's website. Thus, our admin appeal and request for records about their search methods leading to new searches that are ongoing. And that is what we were talking about earlier, where Empower Oversight wanted to see what the search parameters were to make sure the SEC was actually going about this the right way. So there's still a lot that's going to be happening here, and I hope that we get some deep insight into what was happening between these officials and their third-party contacts outside of the SEC, especially when you look at someone like Hinman, who was speaking directly to a former employer and someone he went back to. The SEC formally responded to the complaint on February 18th, denying it failed to meet its obligations under the Freedom of Information Act. Empower Oversight initially filed its request again back in August, on August 12th. Different readers had different narratives, but mostly against the SEC. Here's an example. Unfortunately, the SEC are never going to send you the correct full emails. They will do anything to avoid the correct searches. Maybe you need to include their email addresses in the search as well as just their full names. And here's another idea. Are you kidding me? Those aren't emails. Those are shooting the breeze about nothing. there are no conversations going on at all. So something, and I mean some things, are missing for sure. It's so obvious that these emails say absolutely nothing. Why send if nothing discussed? Overall, it has been a bad start for the U.S. regulatory watchdogs in both the active litigation. Can the SEC come up with an impactful approach in time? So, obviously, these people, the agencies, are going to know that their documents, their communications could potentially be searched in the future. So they're going to be pretty careful with what they say, I think, just from the get-go. So it will be hard to glean good insights from what's in here, especially as they're selectively providing information. But Deaton did provide one thing here that was interesting and provided a potential insight, and maybe caught one of them in a bit of a trap here. So again, this is from his crypto law site, but at the as one of the items in the thread here, he points out a message from Mark Berger. So Mark Berger, whose division filed the lawsuit, this is the Division of Enforcement, and of course this was done in partnership with then Chair Jay Clayton, had this message talking with Stephen Cutler, who was a former SEC employee and had since gone to Simpson Thacher in July of 2020. And this shows two things that are interesting. One, the revolving door between the SEC and these external third parties. And then two, it does give the impression that Berger perhaps was discussing SEC cases with him on other occasions, just not in this one. So if you look here just closely at this one, you can see that Steve says to Mark Berger, "I'm locked up until the afternoon. In the meantime, I'm sending you the resume of the person who'd love to work for your office here. He'd be an excellent addition to your ranks, I promise." Now, that is, again, the revolving door, right? They're just passing back and forth names and promoting people that they want to see get these positions. And then finally, here, Berger says, "Sure, will such and such times work?" And then he said also, Steve, back in response, not to talk about a case. This is someone applying for a job at the regional office. So that's just moving down the thread. So again, interesting things being pointed out here, that even in these short threads you can glean potentially a few little insights. One, the fact that they're constantly in communication back and forth and trying to get people to move between agency and private practice. And then also the fact that not to talk about a case, but with the implication that perhaps not to talk about a case at this time, but perhaps those communications were happening at other times. So it does kind of lead the way for more questions that should be answered, or at least those questions should be asked by the different people trying to hold the government agencies accountable. So hopefully we get more information out of this and further research into the documents. I know that they will have people who go through and sift through some of the mess there that we've seen in those 1,000 pages. But let me know what you think. Is there anything that will be useful out of this, or is this just the agency trying to check a box and get the documents out and say, we fulfilled our obligation, now we're going to move on?
I'm your guy. I will keep you posted. I'm your advocate. I'll be back on a daily basis, usually multiple times per day, with these videos to keep you updated with everything going on. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't done so, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Feel free to share any of my videos with your friends, family, social media, or anybody who may care to listen. Thanks so much for your continued support. I'm always here for you. I want to help you through this time. So thank you so much for continuing to choose me. Enjoy your day, stay safe, and I'll catch you again probably in a couple hours. Thanks, everybody. See you later.